Like one thing I was thinking reading it, you described the premise of the novel that we're in sort of a post-apocalyptic world and the father and son trying to make their way. That's not that different from the premise of a lot of young adult novels, and I enjoy that kind of thing. But this is a very different type of writing, and what makes this serious literature as opposed to something that's really well done, like The Hunger Games, but we wouldn't necessarily say that that's literary or serious literature. It's got a lot of literary merit, of course, but what makes this different?
Well, and one thing that now I've never read The Hunger Games, and I've only seen the first movie. I think I watched it with my wife or something. So I can't speak to The Hunger Games, but I know that's written for a young adult audience. Now, McCarthy, with his audience, the way he writes, I would imagine that this is how he's much different from The Hunger Games, just me speculating here. He really expects his audience to put forth effort when they're reading the book. He doesn't just lay everything out there for them. He doesn't really get into the headspace of his characters. What he does is he describes, like you mentioned, in pretty significant detail, the actions that the characters are doing. And he describes meticulously the actions that they're going through. And he allows their actions to define who they are as characters, to show what kind of person they are, to show what kind of mood they're in. And you really have to interact with the Cormac McCarthy novel. It takes me longer to read a McCarthy novel than any other one because it's such an interactive process between the author and the reader.
I think that's exactly right. So something like The Hunger Games, anything in that genre, you're sort of led along a lot more. You have suspense that keeps you reading to the next scene. You're wondering what's going to happen. In this novel, not that you're completely not wondering what's going to happen, but there isn't a clear plot. I mean, you have kind of a sense of a goal. They're going to try to get somewhere, but you're not really sure where they're headed, or the plot doesn't seem to progress in the way that you expect with a genre fiction. And you've got to think for yourself and figure out what they're doing and what the author's trying to do, what the author's trying to say. I think that's exactly right. It takes a lot more effort to read something like this, and there's a lot more that you can get out of it by putting the effort in.
Well, he really wants you to think, and that's why it takes me longer to read McCarthy novels, is because I'm constantly you're having to think and you're having to analyze their actions. And I think that's a really important tool of writing, is to show more so than tell. And rather than just say, "Hey, Evie, we've been friends for a long time." He shows that they don't really come out and just say that sort of thing, like they do in movies or whatever. He shows just he can, by their actions and the way they talk to each other, that accentuates the camaraderie or whatever it is that he's trying to get across. He's very, very good at that. And it's a much more intellectual workout for me reading a McCarthy novel, because it just demands that kind of interaction.